Do you remember the last time you registered for a standardized test? How bubbling in all of those boxes seemed like a pointless, time-consuming routine. In my experience, when filling in these boxes before taking a standardized test, I hesitated before answering questions on ethnicity and race. For some, this may be an easy, no-brainer, check, check. But for others, this presents as more of a challenge because, like me, you may feel like your identity spreads thin across many of those boxes. After subsequently choosing white, black, and Latina, I'm left wondering, how much do I really relate with each of these boxes? Moreover, what about me can I identify within each box? Is it the way I talk, where I come from, what I look like? For the record, I am black, white, and Brazilian. My mom is Brazilian and I grew up surrounded by Brazilian neighbors. This culture extended to my 8-year-old self because I was exposed to the food, language, and customs. However, despite the fact that my first language was Portuguese, I cannot speak it now and I have never been to Brazil. If I lack the prerequisites, do I still get to claim my culture? In a room full of Americans, I feel Brazilian. Yet in a room full of Brazilians, I feel American. It was very tricky, and apart from sitting for a standardized test, I always found myself wondering, where do I fit in? As humans, we go through different stages of discovery in our lives. For some, this process starts and ends in high school, while others go their entire life in search of where they belong. In the article, The Biracial Advantage, author Jennifer Latson states that many mixed-race people describe struggling to develop a clear sense of identity. Identity issues persist because for the remainder of your life, people will continue to ask, so what are you? This question has been brought up time and time again, and the more you answer, the less confident you feel about your response. For me, identity issues manifested in middle school. I can remember waking up every day anxious about which box I had to show up as. I rehearsed who I had to be and which parts of myself I could construct in order to have people at school accept me. But it didn't work. If I came to school with wet hair, my peers would say that I looked like I just came out of the swamp. Yet if I wore my hair naturally, teachers would comment on how it was too poofy and recommended that I tie it back so that students behind me could see the board. I felt pressure to claim just a single race because physically and socially I felt like I presented as confusing. Confusing because my hair put me in the box labeled black, while my upbringing was split between the boxes labeled white and Latina. I was tired of being confused, yet I went about solidifying my identity in ways that were unauthentic. I thought that to check the white box, I should straighten my naturally curly hair, but this was me simply attempting to fit into that role. As you can see from the picture, this ruined my natural curl pattern and put my hair through extensive physical stress. I was stressed, my hair was stressed, we had both had enough. I was tired of trying to validate this particular box, so I climbed out of it, checked the black box, and embraced my natural hair. But with this also came a desire to brush up on my knowledge of early 90s rappers and my best efforts to get woke. However, despite the fact that I had the hair, I never grew up exposed to black culture. I was having an internal debate with myself, asking, which parts of me can I authenticate? And to find those answers, I looked for outside validation until the summer before high school. I cut off all my hair and did what's known as a big chop. By rocking my afro, I regained control of the narrative. I decided that day that checking off boxes isn't always black and white, because we can all identify ourselves within a gray area. For kids like me, I want those in charge of creating standardized tests to consider incorporating personalized Venn diagrams into the registration process, so that instead of bubbling in separate boxes, students can shade their unique blend of race and ethnicity. By labeling and shading in the different parts of your Venn diagram, students gain confidence that as an individual, they are recognized on these tests. However, it's not just about standardized tests. People will put you in boxes in the real world. For example, if an individual is Christian yet feels like that role stops them from truly embracing their sexuality, they get to check the Christian box, but with that comes reservations about their other boxes, or someone who is both Jewish and Christian. When December arrives, do they acknowledge both Christmas and Hanukkah? The same could be said for stereotypical roles such as the football jock who also enjoys writing poetry, or the model who works on cars, or the married woman who doesn't want kids, or the billionaire who cuts his own grass. Female pilot, male nurse. The list goes on for how people are reshaping their own boxes. Therefore, I encourage you to think about this in your own life, and the many different roles you take on, while celebrating the fact that your identity is not merely defined as a holiday you celebrate, a prominent feature, what you look like, or where you come from. Instead, create a unique persona composed of as many circles in a Venn diagram as you wish. If this talk helps any of you to be your authentic self, then I'll consider that box checked.